Fashion trends in general are unhealthy for your wallet. They can also be unhealthy for your self-esteem once enough time passes for you to see how cringy your cutting-edge haircuts or clothes were at the time. Few of the things people wear today, however, are known to be actively harmful. But it was very different back in the 1800s when some articles of clothing were actually dangerous to the people wearing them. Women's corsets, for example, could be so tight that their wearers would faint due to breathing difficulties. Think about the instances of women suddenly passing out in Victorian-era books and plays. Their corsets might have something to do with it. Even worse, corsets have since been proven to be the cause of serious internal injuries, including deformation of the ribcage and digestive dysfunction.
You like pain? Try wearing a corset.
Around the turn of the 20th century, there was even a risk of being poisoned by your own shoes, especially if you'd gone through the effort to dye them elegantly black. One story reported by the Montreal Gazette from 1900 concerns a French girl who complained of sudden dizziness, an affliction that soon affected the girl's siblings. Soon, the children's lips had turned blue. Fortunately, they figured out the culprit, the children's shoes, which had all just been freshly dyed from yellow to black to prevent dirt from showing so easily. The dye in question turned out to contain aniline, a toxic chemical that, when wet, can easily be absorbed through the skin. Once in the bloodstream, aniline causes a chemical change in the blood that affects hemoglobin, which is essential for the transfer of oxygen. The hemoglobin changes to methemoglobin, which causes methemoglobinemia, a condition that turns lips, skin, and fingernails a bluish-purple hue. Unfortunately, this condition can be deadly. Aniline remained a common ingredient in shoe dye well into the 20th century. As late as 1990, there was a case involving a young man becoming semi-comatose within hours of exposure to the dye. Thankfully, such instances are increasingly rare. However, according to the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, those whose work environments include interaction with dyes, polishes, or other industrial substances may be at risk of long-term exposure to aniline. In response, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration has passed regulations that ensure there are no more than 5 parts of aniline per million parts of air in industrial workplaces. Environmental health bodies have investigated aniline levels in the general environment, but they have found little evidence to suggest it exists at hazardous levels as a result of industry. Nevertheless, it is advised that children not play at waste sites due to the risk of potential aniline exposure. While fatal aniline poisoning through one's shoes was a freak occurrence in the Victorian era, the dyes used in socks reportedly irritated the feet of men who wore them. Even worse, those dyes caused bladder cancer in the people who worked with them, according to National Geographic. Meanwhile, nerve damage was common in women who wore makeup containing lead, which was widely used to give them a pale complexion. Some say the term "mad as a hatter" may have come from the Victorian era when hat makers used mercury as an adhesive to attach animal fur to hats.
Some say to survive it, you need to be as mad as a hatter, which luckily I am.
The mercury was known to cause cardiorespiratory, neuromotor, and psychological problems. On top of that, it caused teeth to fall out and sometimes early death. There was a whole range of Victorian fashions, besides the dreaded corset, that could potentially be fatal to the 19th century folks who wore them. But perhaps the deadliest was the crinoline trend. Wide frocks or hoop skirts of extravagant width drew plenty of criticism from cartoonists of the day because of the perception that they imposed on the women's husbands due to their size. While criticism tended to focus on the etiquette offenses of crinolines, the actual risk was that they were a fire hazard. Crinoline wearers often knocked over candles and lanterns, which easily set the flammable dresses on fire, killing many who wore these garments.